All right, everybody. So in this packet tracer, we are going to now configure dynamic host configuration protocol version 6. Now the IP addressing that we'll be using is in this document right here, and this is the topology we're working with. So we have a link between these two routers, and then we have also two different networks. Okay, so we have PCA and we have PCB, both in different networks. And now we have nothing here going on, right? So I just cabled this together. Now what we need to do is number one, assign our routers. Configuration, no configuration. All right. So let's rename first, and then we'll host R1. Okay. And our router here, let's configure the interfaces really quick. For the interface between the two routers, that will be gigabit 000, okay, and IP version 6 address, and that will be a 64. Okay, all right. For gigabit 1, that's our network. Okay, let's apply this IP address right here. Okay, well, okay, so now let's see our PC. We go to our PC configuration. It's set to be static. Now, something interesting to point out, it already have a link local address. And this is the address that will enable this PC to communicate with the default gateway in order to request a IP address. Now, this link local address is only good inside this link or inside this network, much like the APIPA in version 4. All right. So as soon as we configure our router to be first with Slack, computer should be able to receive that message from the router telling the computer that we are implementing Slack. Therefore, the computer should use the information in that router advertisement and create its own global unicast address, which will enable the computer to then communicate outside this network. Right? So the first thing that we need to do, okay, so we have this already taken care of. All right. All that we have left to do really is the link local address as well, of course. Now, I'm sitting on the interface facing my inside network. So I'm going to be using the IPv6 address. The link local will be 1 B80 : all right, 1, and then link local. All right, very well. Now on the other side, I'm going to use also link local, but I'm going to use 2. Well, can use on this side, since this is 1, router 1, I'm going to use 1. Then for router 2, I will use link local 2. Okay, now I think we good there. Let me bring that up. A shot. Okay, the interface up. If we go to the interface facing my network, okay, not shot. To come up. Alright, so on this section it's not turning green because the other interface is down. So we need to configure this router as well. And bring that link on. Okay. Google terminal, IP or interface, gigabit 000. That's the one facing router 1. I'm gonna assign that address PV6. Place that there. Be good. The link local going to be 2. Missing a colon here. Okay. Bringing that interface on. Okay. Interface facing my network. That's going to be 3. IP address is going to be 3. Okay. My link local is going to be 1. Because that's a different interface facing a whole different network. So it's going to be 1. Okay. Now shut down. Bringing that interface up. Okay. Very good. Now, obviously, we need to also, this is router 1. Okay. Interface 0. 2, 1. Good. Okay, let's do router 1. It's router 2. Okay. Now let's try to ping, right? We need to specify do ping the address of router 1. Okay. Okay. Very well. So we good. Now we know that this link we have communication basically because it's directly connected. But what will happen if I try to ping the network? All right, the PC0 network from router 2. So I know I can talk to my next hop, which is router 1, but can I communicate to the link or to the network behind router 1? And the answer is pretty sure no. and we're going to just time out here without any communication because our router now IP version 6 route, and to any will be like this 0 to any network. That's saying that to any network, okay, we are going to use, then we provide the interface that we want. Okay, so the configuration is simple. So we want to, if we want to go to any network, then we're going to use the IP address, this one right here, of our network, neighbor. Okay, there. Is that the one? No, not the one, but I'm gonna fix that. Okay, about if we try now. Okay, and again, we have to do the same thing over to router 1, because if we try to ping router 2 network, or the network behind router 2, we're not going to be successful. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that over in router 1, IP version 6 route to any network. I want you to use this address. Okay, now let's test communication to the network behind router 2. To ping should work, and it does. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have communication from the two routers, okay, between the two networks. So the routers are now exchanging information on the networks. Okay, now how about PC0? PC0 is still down when it comes to receiving a IPv6. Okay, although our PC right here can ping the link local address of my router or its default gateway. Okay, we can prove that by showing you that we can ping. Okay, default gateway. Very well. But our configuration is going to fail. We're not receiving a dynamic IP version 6 address. It's going to fail if I try to speed up the process. Okay, we see here fail. If we go to the command prompt, IP version 6 config, we see that we have nothing except the link local address that it created, automatically created. Now, if we want to, again, if we want to assign or tell the computer that is going to utilize Slack, the stateless auto configuration or address auto configuration, then we need to enable the router to participate in that router advertisement solicitation exchange messaging between the devices. So in order to do that, all we need to do is to enable the router to join the communication between advertisement and solicitation. To do that, it's global command. In global command, yep, we're going to specify IP version 6, unicast routing, hit enter. The computer should now receive, and surely it does. Now, the computer did not receive this IP address from the router. All it did was to receive the default gateway, you guys can see right here, and basically a flag with the auto configuration turned on and everything else turned off. But that's it. That's all it received. Now that flag, all it's saying to the computer is, all right. So this is the network, right? So the 2001 DBA ACAD column 1. That's all the computer receiving that message, all right? And the A flag turned on, meaning configure your own. In order to do that, the PC will take its MAC address and configure the rest of the address to identify uh, for that need, right? So the network card is going to specify that interface with the rest of the address by combining its MAC address. And that's a process that, well, again, you're expected to know how does work on auto configuration, all right, for the device ID. But now, if we go to the command prompt, we can also see that if we commit that command again, now you guys can see we received this and we received that. But that's all we got. Now, that is stateless auto auto configuration protocol, or SLAC for short. Now let's do that over to the other side. So we're gonna go to, let's just confirm that the computer is not receiving nothing. So automatic dynamic auto configuration. Let's speed up the process here. Check again. Okay, nope, it's not getting anything. All right, now we're receiving the fail message. Again, we need to then enable the router to start sending those router advertisements. So in global configuration, IP version 6, unicast. And now the computer should have received an advertisement. Perfect. And that is SLAC. That's how you configure SLAC. All right. Now, configure router 1 to provide stateless dynamic host configuration protocol for PCA or PC0 right here. Okay, PC, let me change that, PCA and PCB on this side. Well, okay, so we need to now configure router 1 to act as a stateless DHCP. Now, what is the difference between stateless DHCP and SLAC? It's a very confusing thing for some people. And the difference is basically when you say SLAC, right? We saying stateless address auto configuration. Okay? Meaning that the computer itself is going to create its own address. When we set stateless DHCP, then we are specifying that the computer is going to use two things: Slack or stateless plus a DHCP for other information. And I will show you now what I mean by that. So, right now, if we take a look at the computer, IP, yeah, I already did that. So IP version this configuration, and I said latch all. Again, there's nothing. All we are getting from the current configuration, which is only Slack. It's just the uh, message for us to auto configure our global unicast address and the default gateway. That's all we're getting, right? But you may want to configure your device to get more information, such as your DNS server and your domain name. All right, so we're going to do that by going back to router 1, and the first thing we need to do is to create a pool. IP version 6 dynamic host configuration protocol pool, and we're going to call it R1 stateless, right? So R1 state CR1 stateless. Now we are inside the pool configuration, and we are going to give our DNS information, DNS server. Let me close these gap log. Okay, DNS server and the IP address of the DNS server. Okay, going to be address right here. Just copy and pasting the addressing scheme, and then the domain name. Domain name. Okay, .com. Fantastic. That's all we need. We exit out of here, and then we go to the interface that we want to apply this pool. So we want to apply this pool to this interface so it can serve this network. Interface gigabit 0/0/1. All right, and then in here I'm going to specify the IP version 6 dynamic host configuration protocol pool, the dynamic version server, and then the pool, which is R1. I'm gonna just copy from here, paste. All right, and I'm going to specify that I want the IP version 6 message. Tell the computer to utilize other. The options are as follows: other and manage. Manage is full on configuration, whereas other is simply if you're going to use Slack, okay, just like you did before. But for other information, I want you to go out here and grab the rest of this information. Okay? Alright. So, yeah, that take care of. Now let's check. Okay? Let's check what our computer has received. Now notice different. Okay, this is all we got with Slack. And look now, we have received our connection to the DNS and the domain name. Okay,